Maybe you could do a video looking at the players that have left Luton after last season. Luke Berry, Dan Potts, Ross Barkley, and kind of look how they are getting on at other clubs. Done. So if you couldn't tell by that intro, today's video is me looking back at all the players that left after the Premier League season. And we're going to start off by talking about Chio Ogbene. Ogbene left the football club after a reported fee of £8 million came in from Ipswich. He signed a 4-year deal at the club. He's now playing back in the Premier League, but for him, he picked up a nasty injury. He only featured 6 times for Ipswich in all competitions, but he's done his Achilles, he's teared his Achilles in fact, and he is out for the rest of the season. I think it's a little bit unfair for me to judge him after those 6 appearances, but we most likely will see Ogbene in the Championship next season because I don't think Ipswich will be staying up this year. Moving on to the best player I think I've seen in a Luton shirt, and that is Ross Barkley. Ross Barkley left the football club for a fee of around £5 million. He signed a 3-year contract at Aston Villa. I think the quicker people understand and just accept he was never going to play for Luton in the Championship, the better it will be for yourself. He was staying in the Premier League, and of course, an attractive move like Aston Villa, a side that's playing in a European competition, of course he's going to leave the football club. He's played 23 times for Aston Villa. He's got 5 goal contributions this season, including 1 in the Champions League. He's had a calf injury. He's been more of a squad player for Aston Villa. I don't think he was planning on starting every single week, but because of the amount of games Aston Villa will be playing this season, he of course will eventually play a certain amount of games over the course of the season. So he is going to feature at some point, and to see some of the goals he has scored for Aston Villa, it's nice to see, and I'm glad he's doing well. Going from one of the best players I've seen in a Luton shirt to probably one of the worst players I've seen in a Luton shirt, and he goes by the name of Ryan Giles. Ryan Giles reportedly signed for Luton on a record club fee. He played 14 times for us in the first half of the Premier League season. Because of those performances, Alfie Doughty got straight back into the side and he kicked Ryan Giles out. We then sent him out on loan during the second part of the Premier League season to Hull. We did some sort of agreement with Hull. They did like a loan option to buy. So he ended up playing 17 times for Hull in the second half of the Premier League season in the Championship. Hull signed him on a permanent deal. The first 6 months at Hull, he played 18 times. And then, due to poor performances at Hull City over the course of the calendar year, Hull said, "We've had enough of you." And Middlesbrough have come in with a loan offer, and he's currently playing his football at Middlesbrough. He's on loan. He's only played 4 times under Michael Carrick. But for me, Ryan Giles came across as a player that had an attitude problem. I think it was quite clear. I don't think he wanted to sign for Luton in the first place, but because he had a relationship with Rob Edwards, the move kind of made sense at the time. But for me, he definitely had an attitude problem. He definitely wasn't a Luton player, someone that was willing to work extremely hard off the ball. And in terms of his actual performances, I thought defensively he was shocking. Yes, going forward, he looked like he had something, but in terms of the defensive work, he couldn't defend. And that was a major problem for me. And you couldn't have someone like that in the Premier League. So yeah, Ryan Giles, currently at Middlesbrough, hasn't gone on to bigger and better things since leaving Luton. Moving on to a player that didn't renew his contract at the end of the Premier League season. He was out of contract and he decided to part ways with Luton. I don't know if he was offered one. I would like to think he was, and he goes by the name of Gabe Osho. Osho played 84 times for Luton. He's currently playing his football in France. He's played 16 times in the top division in the French league. Looking at the stats and his appearances in France, he's been okay. I think he wants to play a lot more football than he currently is playing at this moment in time. He's been more of a squad player, I would say, but he hasn't been a massive standout player over in France. Over the course of the season, I have seen a few comments from Luton fans saying that they miss Osho and they think he would have had an impact within the current group of players. At the time when reading these comments, I kind of didn't get it because I didn't really mind Osho leaving the football club. I didn't think he was going to be a massive miss. However, in the way we like to play with the 3 at the back, I do think we miss him because he's very progressive as that right-sided centre-back. He is good on the ball, likes to get forward like Cal Naismith does, and I do think we have missed him due to the way we like to play. And I didn't think I would say that when he originally left the football club, but I do now agree with those comments. Moving on to a player that I think didn't get a fair go in his correct position at the football club, and he goes by the name of Fred Onyedinma. Fred played 60 times for Luton, he got 3 goal contributions, he left on a free from us. He ended up joining Wycombe in League One this year under Matt Bloomfield. He's played 31 times this season and has 7 goal contributions. He's having a fantastic season, and Wycombe could win promotion from League One to the Championship. I felt the way we treated Fred, we kind of used him more as a wing back, which I didn't think was his correct position. I think his best position is further forward, attacking down the right or left hand side. I remember his debut against Peterborough and I thought he was amazing that day, and that was because he was playing further forward, causing plenty of problems. But we never really got to see him in his correct position over a run of games, more as a wing back. We had to use him in the second half of the Premier League season because he had an injury when he was at Rotherham. We recalled him back and he ended up playing loads of games for us, which I don't think was the plan for him. Moving on to a player which definitely is a fan favourite and a player which no Luton fan I don't think wanted to leave the football club, and he goes by the name of Luke Berry. Luke Berry left on a free. It was quite clear Luke Berry wanted to play regular first team football. The last couple of seasons at Luton, he wasn't playing week in, week out. And I think he was a little bit frustrated by this. He's 32 years old. He's got to the point in his career where he wants to play every single week. He's not got, I would say, 10 years left in his career to play, so he wants to, make the most of it. He played 184 times for Luton. He got 26 goal contributions. He signed for Nathan Jones at Charlton. He's played 36 times this season and he's got 9 goal contributions. So the moves actually worked out quite well for him. Charlton are, of course, a side that's pushing for promotion out of League One, and fair play to Luke Berry for leaving the football club and doing extremely well. Fans will always rate Luke Berry. He also comes back and watches us play away from home or at home. He was at the Watford game, so it's nice to see him in the stands watching us, supporting the boys. Fan favourite. No one really wanted him to go, but he wanted to play regular first team football, and I don't think at the time Rob Edwards was prepared to give him the minutes he wanted. So it made sense for both parties to leave, but of course I can understand the reason on why fans didn't want him to leave the football club. Andros Townsend, a player that we kind of restarted his career in a way. He was looking for a club, he was looking to play some football, and Luton apparently saved his career. That's his own words. Rob Edwards signed him on a short-term deal. We ended up extending it to the end of the Premier League season. In fact, actually, we ended up extending it for like 2.5 years. It was quite a long-term contract which we gave Andros Townsend. He did a job for Luton, played 32 times for us, got 4 goal contributions. He left to go to Turkey. He's played 22 times in the top Turkish division. He's been mainly a sub player, coming on in the last 20 minutes of the game. Proper squad player over in Turkey. I don't think he could keep up with the Championship, the speed of the Championship, the physical aspect of it. I just think it was, at the time, a good move for both parties. Moving on to a player that actually never made a competitive appearance for Luton, John McAtee. John McAtee we signed from Grimsby. He had a fantastic time at Grimsby, won their promotion from the National League to League 2. Once we signed him, when we were in the Championship, this was our promotion season, we said to Grimsby, you can have him for the rest of the year. He had a good loan spell there, and then during the Premier League season, we decided with John McAtee that he should go out on loan again, and this time he went to Barnsley, and he had a fantastic season at Barnsley. He played 45 times and got 21 goal contributions. So when he was doing this well in League One, a lot of fans thought maybe, actually, we could see him in the Championship. We decided to sell him. You look at the lack of goals which we've got this season, was that the correct decision? We ended up selling him to Bolton, and he's played 41 times this year for Bolton. and he's got 14 goal contributions. He's a good striker. He knows how to score goals. He knows how to create goals as well. And it's a shame that we never really got to see him in a competitive game for Luton. People talk about Joe Taylor. Well, John McAtee, he's been doing it in League One. He's been doing it in the league which Luton might be going in, and we might be playing Bolton next season. Moving on to another player that played loads of times for Luton. In fact, 216 times. Dan Potts. Dan Potts never really got to play in the Premier League. This was due to injuries. He was a walking injury. In the politest way, Dan Potts was a player that his career, it could have been a lot better if he never got the injuries across all 4 divisions for Luton in League 2, League 1, Championship and also the Premier League. It was the correct decision to depart ways with him at the end of the Premier League season. Not featuring and not being involved with the Luton group, you had to make a decision there. I remember at the time I disagreed with the fact that we renewed his contract for the Premier League season. I felt it was the correct decision then to just say goodbye and thank you for your services to Luton. But since his release from us, he signed for Charlton under Nathan Jones, but injuries had an impact at Charlton in League One. He only played 3 times. Charlton only signed him on a short-term deal, and he's currently a free agent. And I think Dan Potts, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, I think sometimes professional footballers, they've got to look after themselves and they've got to look at their body and listen to it a little bit and go, can my body do what I want it to do? Because mentally and physically, it's 2 different things. Mentally, you might be thinking, yes, I can play championship football, but your body's saying, no, I can't keep up with it. So Dan Potts has obviously got a decision to make whether he actually continues as a professional footballer or does he drop down the leagues. And finally, we're going to end the video by talking about 2 young players that appeared for Luton only a couple of times. Well, I say a couple of times. Louis Watson played 9 times for Luton. During the Premier League season, he went out on loan to Charlton. He played 27 times in League One. We released him at the end of the year. He looked like a player that just needed to have a consecutive run of games in the first team, but I don't think he was ever going to get that at Luton. He definitely looked like one for the future, but we just couldn't, I guess, mould him into a first team player on a regular basis. We released him at the end of the Premier League season, and he's only just recently found a club. He's just signed for Crawley in League One, and he's just made his first appearance for the football club. So we might also be seeing Louis Watson in League One next season. And then the last player is Elliot Thorpe. Quite similar to Louis Watson, Elliot Thorpe we signed from Tottenham. We were signing this youngster that had some, good potential. He played 6 times for Luton. We did send him out on loan to Shrewsbury and Burton, but he kept picking up big injuries. I think injuries had a massive impact in his career. We played him as a right wing back and also as a centre mid. He looked more natural as a midfielder, but we never really got to see him because injuries had an impact, and also I think we were trying to develop him. Also, when you're signing players for the future, and as a football club you're progressing up a division, you're getting promoted, it's very difficult to mould these youngsters into the first team and for them to get consecutive minutes. And sometimes it just doesn't work out, and that's why it's important to have like an under-21 setup, so these youngsters can play in the under-21s and keep fitness up and keep being around the place and take their opportunities when they do come about. But Thorpe, once we let him go, he signed for Wilstone in the National League. He only signed a short-term deal. He played 14 times for them, but he doesn't have a football club right now. He's also free and available to sign. So there you have it. That is the end of the video. That's me looking back at all the players which we've released from the Premier League season. Of course, 1 or 2 players I think a lot of us wish we kept. Luke Berry, Ross Barkley. Imagine having Ross Barkley in the Championship. It was never going to happen, but imagine. And you could argue and say, we wish we had 11 Luke Berries, because the effort, the fight, the determination, the quality which Luke Berry always brought wearing that Luton shirt, we definitely miss it, that's for sure. And his eye for a goal was always brilliant as well. So yeah, couple of players which we missed. We've made a couple of good decisions letting go of a couple of young players that were never going to play for Luton. But yeah, it's football. Football is all about opinions, and sometimes you make these decisions wrong, sometimes you make the right ones, and yeah, it's about trying to make as many correct ones as you can. Drop a like on the video, drop a comment down below on your thoughts. Let me know if there is any players you wish we kept at the football club. I know I'm going to get loads of Luke Berry ones, so let me know down below. Subscribe to my channel if you are new, if you would like to become a member. The link is in the description below. Don't forget to follow me across all my social media as well. And I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be a match preview of the Portsmouth game. So I'll see you guys then.